Dear Twin Flame souls out there, welcome to the Twin Flame Awakening Journey podcast, and today's in episode 180. In today's episode, we are going to continue of talking of the frequency scale and how we're going to move up step by step and why is this important. And also the good news is, as we know, once you have hit the rock bottom, the only way is to go up from there. So we can't go down. So now we're going to continue up. And if you didn't listen to previous episode about the lowest frequencies we can carry, then now we're going to move up to the higher ones. So maybe you want to look it up. Where are you standing at the moment on this twin flame journey or on your awakening journey? We know very strongly that twin flame love and twin flame connection is connected through awakening. Again, whether our ego or our mind likes that or no, it doesn't matter. Something deeper got awakened inside of you, and that's where the ego death came. And the ego death takes us to the bottom, unfortunately. But it doesn't mean that we can't climb up from there. And if we are going step by step, it's going to be there. We cannot skip the steps. That doesn't happen. You can't go from in a way of grief to love. It doesn't work like that. There are steps in between, and I'm going to explain about them in today's episode. So if you would like to know what steps to take, how do you feel, what's going on, I believe it gives you a certain understanding that no, you are not lost. You are just going on the journey. And when I talk about it, or when you hear others talking about divine union, divine oneness, all of this, they're talking about it, then the way is there, but you cannot skip these steps. And it's just part of it. Nothing wrong. There is nothing wrong with you. And so I invite you for today's episode. I'm also going to dive a little bit deeper into a desire and lust. Because of I've seen recently, and I had to dive into it because there are information out there that lust is one of the lowest frequency, that if you give yourself into a lust. And yes, there are certain information and studies that lust is a lower frequency. But I'm gonna explain you something about it, and now you'll be wondering, what is the lust? What is connected over here? Last is, I always said about it, when we give into an easier part. And this discussion I had another day with someone where I said about it that in our life we will be always given a temptations, always. The temptations are always there. Now it's totally up to you. Are you going to dive into the temptation, meaning of you don't have your self-control, or you're going to connect to and realizing, no, I will keep walking my walk, however it's going to be, and I'm not going to give in. So lust is, of course, everything that is easy, everything that is, and easy, don't get me wrong here, things can be very easy, but what I mean is easy that, let's say, sexual encounters we can have with everybody we want to, watching pornography, let's say drinking uncontrollably, gambling, all of these very, very low vibrations, but they are connected. And that's why I say that all of the things, I never judge anybody who are doing what they're doing, because I understand that they are connected to their frequency and they're connected to their loop. And they might not see that yet, how to break that through. But once we break that through, the magic begins. And I've seen that with the people I work with, in my own family, or people around me. Once they understand the loop, they kind of stop and they become sovereign, and they're realizing, oh my God, this was the demon that was holding me back. So twin flame journey, as we know, is very strongly attached to that awakening, and there is a reason for it. And no matter what, how painful it is, the pain is an indicator that something was want to give birth to. And right before we're going to go into all of the numbers and explanation, I really want to take a moment to stop here and say to you that Isn't that incredible? That something so powerful as love can awaken you. How many people, if you listen to this podcast, let's say you're outside right now in your car or you're walking on the street, look around. How many people, they just walk. Their hearts are not open. They don't see. They don't see what you see. And you've been awakened through the love. It doesn't mean it's not painful, but being awakened through love, to be honest, I don't think that there is anything more powerful than love and being awakened, because the love is the energy that makes everything happen, and that's why it's also, in today's scales, one of the highest frequencies. But again, we cannot skip from it. And I will start today with a fear. So we're gonna go into a fear today, and fear is standing on a scale 100. So last time we had a great laugh about the apathy, and I, like I said, these topics are difficult and hard, and sometimes I like to bring you some fun and something to realize that it's okay. You are on an okay path. Don't just get stuck, because that's one of the biggest thing I see very often, where we get stuck, where we are afraid of going into the next stage. And so, talking of the fear. So now after the grief comes the fear. Again, I'm going to just respond here. Those of you who haven't listened to the previous episode, there you can hear about it, what I talked about, the grief, apathy, all of that, if you're new here. If you have listened, that's what continues here. Oh, sorry, I just have to say one more thing. Many of you were asking and DMing that, I don't understand, can I have a session with you? Where can I find you? Where are the links? And all confusing. Yes, absolutely, you can have a session with me. twinflameawakeningjourney.com. There is a session where we can just talk and discover your frequency and what's happening. But about your frequency, we talk about the next episode, how I look at people's frequency and how I detect what is going on. It's quite an interesting one that I developed during the time. So now, yes, absolutely, you can. So twinflameawakeningjourney.com, all the information is there. You can do the energy work, you can do channeling, seeing what's happening in the deepest parts of yours, and energetically, all of this is there. I'm sorry if I forget to sometimes mention it or I don't share it, but if you look at in the descriptions, all of the links are there, and on social media as well, of course. So I'm looking forward to connect to you if you feel like. And of course, you can always message me. That's not a problem either. But I've noticed that I forget to mention, and then my mailbox is full of it. Can I contact you? How can I contact you? Oh, this is what happened to me. So yes, absolutely, you can. All right, let's dive into today's fear. So fear is standing on a scale of 100. And I want to really, I mentioned that last time, but I think I wasn't really clear about it because it's a little bit hard to explain it. So I wrote myself down to make it more clear so just to say that 100 in a way of when we're going to go from the grief that was 75 and now we are going into 100. So it's a huge energetic shift. It's not just like we are going 25 times more. It's 25 times 10 or 100 even more. So it's a very powerful understanding that it's not just a very small and very small shift. It's a huge one. So now we are at the fear. And fear is, I see many of you are stuck. And in the world of matrix, how is the matrix built on? Fear. And same can be on a twin flame matrix. Meaning of there is going to be a fear that none of this is going to happen. And you're going to develop an anxiety. And you start feeling everything looks dangerous. You see that threats are everywhere. You will have completely lost the trust that you had in between of coming in. And now your nervous system is in a fight and flight mode. And in a twin flame dynamics, this is where most of the chasers are in, a fear. You're terrified of abandonment, terrified if they're going to leave. And you're terrified that something about what proves to be true, you have been afraid to look at it. So meaning of, if there is a fear of abandonment, now you know that this is the truth, but it's so scary to look into this, which I totally understand, that we start, of course, projecting outwards. Another day, some of you were asking me about that why we can't project outwards, or why we can't project on our twin. And I'm very simply would tell you that there is nothing wrong of worrying if your twin is doing right or wrong or how they feel. Nothing absolutely wrong with that. But think of yourself that right now you're putting all of your money, all of your energy into another person in hope that they will bring you something. Everything. You give everything away in order to hope that they will bring you. But you don't know if they will. So you give your own free will, your free power away. And that's why waiting for them to change, shift, awaken, understand, connect is a loop that is not going to end. So in a sense of, when we are on the fear level, that's where, again, I'm going to go, we need to work on a nervous system. So now we're going to go and dive deeper into, I would say again, Reiki, breath work. Breath work is such a good way to calm down the system. You can find a lot of workshops on my website. Also, at the same time, there is a workshop on 17th of May now, where again we're going to uplift the frequency. So you're more than welcome to join that on Patreon. Again, all the links are in bio, Patreon. You can join that. It's $5.99, I think. I haven't changed that ever. It's still the same. And you can easily have more access to the information, workshops, recorded workshops, and change yourself today if you're staying in fear and you are frozen. Then from here, we are gonna go into the next stage. And this is 125 frequency. And this is now desire. Desire, craving, wanting, lust. And this is where the twin flame obsession now lives. You are checking your phone. You're replaying the conversations in your mind, in your heart, in all the time. You're looking backwards. Did they message? All of this is normal. I've been on that frequency as well. It doesn't mean that if you are on this frequency, you are failing. No, that is a showing to you that, oh, you have moved from fear into desire now. And now this is what this frequency is reflecting, is that I am incomplete without this. So I am incomplete without my twin. I cannot move on in my life without this person. I will not feel this love without that person. I've spoken a lot about this, and this is actually not true, but I know when we are at the 125, we really believe that I cannot be happy, or I will never ever love anybody as deeply, as strongly as I love this person. And there's nothing wrong with feeling it at that time, but that's not the truth. So think of it, you are at the frequency scale of 125. And I'm gonna come back to this in a way, not the way you think it is, but the way you do with this energy that changes everything. So I'll just go because two of them are very connected. So that's why I'm gonna explain that. The two of them are very connected. So the desire craving, we are feeling, I want to be with my twin flame. I want to feel this love. You feel even like all of the sexual energy you feel. You feel so connected. You never felt that like the rest of the world feels pointless. And then you go from desire to what? Can you guess where you're going for? What will be the next thing? Anger. And in the world of feelings, anger seems much worse than a desire. And anger now seems like a wrong direction. The anger stands in 150. So what you're thinking that how I go from feeling I want to be with my twin, I love my twin, they are the best person in this planet Earth, no one else loves me better, and the next moment you get, I had enough of this breadcrumbs, I don't want to hear anything about them, I will block them, I will remove them, I had enough. Lift the hands up on the comments if you have done that. Very normal, very normal. I think I've spoken about this, that you know me, I live in this la-la land. Everything is wonderful and everything is beautiful. And the anger is there in a way of very unfamiliar for me. But of course, I did get angry as well. So there is that frustration and rage. And here is something very important again. Anger is actually more energized than everything that we just spoke about below it. You can hear about this on a previous episode, or you can look at it on Instagram or here on YouTube as well. I've tried to make graphics as best as I can, maybe not the best, but it gives you an overview. So if you follow any of the channels, you will see this as well. And as anger has a movement on it, anger will say, this is not okay. And sometimes the most truthful thing a person can actually say, this is not okay. I disagree with that. I am not agreeing with this. And this is such an important part of the journey. And when anger is directed correctly, it becomes the fuel for change. You start feeling, I don't want to be anymore like this. I don't want to be stuck here. I don't want to feel it this way. I want to get out of it. Because the boundary is what that protects you. Boundary, how many times we have spoken about boundary? Boundary is the one that protects you. And that will bring you out of the loop. The problem is not the anger itself. Because the big problem is that the anger has nowhere to go except back to yourself or out to the person who triggered you. And that is a problem. We need to let go of the anger. And I know myself, I am very, very, I have difficulties with anger. I don't know how to be angry. I never carry anger with me. Even people can be like doing bad things to me, or they can say something, or they can, I've experienced all kinds of things in my life. But I'm very quickly forgiven and very quickly I move on. I don't have this like a grudge inside of me. And I tell you, I've forgiven a lot of people who've been extremely mean to me and have done extreme things that I can't even put them into words. If you would hear that, they would be like, why do you forgive them? I would never do that. I just don't have that. But it doesn't mean I don't have anger. And I had to learn to connect to the anger. So, and anger also requires a kind of a self-respect that desire doesn't have yet. So anger says, what is happening here is not okay. And that is a step forward, like I said. And not because the anger is a destination. It's moving, as I said. So I bring you a very simple example, where do we normally go wrong with this level? Where are we we go wrong? Number one, you suppress it. Because good spiritual people don't get angry, right? We are all la la land, super, we are all love. But then something is inside of us like, I had enough. And it really goes underground and becomes actually resentment and passive aggression or physical illness. And when I understood that I am suppressing anger, and it wasn't like, my anger is not that I have to scream and I have to tap. It's not like that. Anger can be also very direct. But I have to say, hey, enough. And here we go. I don't believe that anger has to be violent and rage and all of that. But if it's been a long time inside of you, of course it's going to be violent and rage. Or you're going to express that energy directly to the person who triggered it. You send an angry text, you confront, you spiral. And then it comes out ways and damages something. Both of those are really much of the waste of the anger, because anger, used correctly, is an information and fuel. And like I said, we will do most probably one day an anger workshop. I had to do that. I really had to do this. And this is why what I'm sharing is not because of I'm going to tell you, oh my God, look at you. You're absolutely useless. You don't know anything about twin flames frequencies. You don't understand the union. You don't understand this. No, none of this. I do this because of that. I share this because that helped me to transform. And I'm a believer that if a God or the creator or the universe have given me an ability to share, I'm going to do that. Everything I do, my retreats, my workshops, one-on-one, however, I always say, go and give it to the next person. Go and be the network. Not as a cult or anything like this, but be the one who says, you know what, I know magic and I can help you out of it. But on the other hand, we have to realize we are not the ones who's going to change anybody. People change when they're ready. You have to be the example. So I bring you an example. Let's say you are in a separation. You have a completely 3 months in silence. I was 3 months in silence. And you are at the frequency of 125, meaning of you're in desire. I wish they would text me. You're craving, you're wanting, you're waiting. You're looking at your phone. And then one morning you wake up and you feel absolutely furious. And you're like, no, that's not okay anymore. It's not correct. Why am I feeling this pain? Why am I the only one who has to go through that pain? And they don't show me the love, and then they go silent. Why? They can be the runner. And so instead of sending the text, instead of letting that anger to go on that person, you're going to do something else now. You're going to run. You're going to run. Run. You're using a physical movement. That's why also why we need to get the body connected, because it's body, mind, and soul that have to be connected. When you start using the physical movement, I know I was the one who was working out crazy. And it wasn't an escapism. I have to use the energy to go into something. So now you're going to run. You're going to run hard for 40 minutes. And then you come back home and you write for an hour. Not for him, but for yourself. About what do you want? About what are you ready for? And what you are no longer ready to accept. And the boundary that you are going to hold now. And from here, of course, you move from 150 to 200 frequency. Because the anger told her that something is true. And now you listen to it. And you let it to move through the body. And now you use that anger as a fuel for clarity rather than destruction. That's why blaming people, telling to them that they are this, or even blaming your twin will not bring you result. What brings you result is using the fire within you. And that's why doing any kind of body, what your body asks, walking, moving, boxing, all of these kind of things, even like where you're gonna jumping, you're gonna move the energy, you're gonna move it into the right direction, and that's where the explosion is gonna happen, especially when you've been awakened with Kundalini. That's why, again, I'm gonna say I don't believe in a full of only meditation, connection, everything soft. I am very soft, but it doesn't mean that I don't believe in also movement. We have to bring two worlds together. And that is the shift here. We're going to go into the next stage. But I really want to stop here for a second. And I want to say something about anger in a spiritual space specifically. There's so much pressure in the twin flame and the spiritual awakening community to be at peace, to be this zen, connected. This is what we believe is spiritual person. I'm going to tell you who is a spiritual person. The one that has all the aspects but knows how to control them. The one who shows up raw, vulnerable, even anger. But the one who is real. That is a spiritual person, not the one that pretends to you. And to be accepted and to be loved. And so we are in that's how it is, that's how it's supposed to. But that pressure will lead where people to skip the anger. And you're going to jump from grief or desire straight to the forced acceptance, which is not acceptance. It's a spiritual bypassing. Real acceptance that we'll get to at the 350 frequency, earned acceptance, can only come after you have let yourself to be angry first. You cannot accept what you have not yet allowed yourself to feel. So if you're angry today, wonderful, good, let it up. I've also said about this podcast over here that when I trigger you or when I say something or things are happening, I'm not saying or doing this that I want to take you out of alignment or say, I just want that the energy will start moving. The so-called Kundalini, the life force energy, your frequency starts moving. And when it moves, the magic happens. Many times people don't believe me when I say to them that, let's say after the Kundalini activation, they feel immense anger. They want to explode. And they feel something was wrong. Look, now the demons are inside of me. Something is wrong. No, there is nothing wrong. It clearly showed it worked. Because you've been suppressing the anger. You're suppressing what's going on. And unfortunately, when you carry the anger inside of you, you're going to be finding yourself in frustration over and over and over again. And the biggest person you are punishing is yourself. Nobody else is yourself. So move it through your body, ask it what it is protecting, and then use it. Anger is a fuel. It's not a destruction. Anger is a fuel. Think of it as a fire that's going to give. But if we don't know how to use it, it becomes destruction. Don't skip that part. Ooh, but now comes the next one. Next. What do you think is the next one? What your heart is telling you? It's the pride. Pride is at 175. And this is the first level that feels good, but it's very fragile. Because pride's worth comes from outside. Status, appearance, being better than. And what's fascinating about the twin flame journey is how much pride gets entangled in it. There's a lot of pride in twin flame communities. The spiritual pride is, I am the awakened one. The chaser is the awakened one. And the runner, they don't know anything. Not true. But the pride is part of it, and I'm going to talk about it. And it's not about, that's why I say, again, I don't want to go into a place of that somebody's right and somebody's wrong. I believe there are many truths, and many truths have many angles on it. I saw such a good post another day. I have to share it with you because it was so well written. Maybe it was AI who wrote it, but I found it was beautiful. Seekers of light are not only people of emotion and passion. They also have a clear vision of life and a conscious direction of their path. The only truth is the truth that exists at the level of our consciousness. As our consciousness changes, truth changes. So there is no single absolute truth. It depends on how our consciousness rises. The reason for this humility is that they understand that the truth is not something absolute or something we cannot fully possess. Instead, every person gives meaning to a part of the truth through their own perspective, experiences, and understanding. And when someone realizes that their own perception is the only one of the thousands of possible interpretations, they no longer see themselves as a center of wisdom and truth. This insight quiets pride and leaves room for humility, acceptance, and love. That's beautifully written. And that's where the pride comes in. There's nothing wrong when we feel and we go around and if you listen to the, like overall, I'm saying the chaser is awakened one. Yes, the chaser has in the beginning of more of a, because you've been going through the parts now. So the spiritual pride is very much, I am the awakened one, or the wounded pride is how they dare to choose someone else and not me. And pride will keep you in the loop just as efficiency as fear, and just in a better posture, just in a stronger way. And it's a very interesting one because pride is somehow connected to the ego, but now we are going to, after the ego death, we are going to start building another ego, and that's where I talk a lot about twin flame matrix. It's a very, very scary one because I have seen it. I've seen it how some people can throw away their whole life because someone told them something and now that's who they are. That's who they identify. And anything else that can come on their way, they're blocking it. And pride is something that can really block. So, like I said, the pride feels like I'm better than this. I don't need them. I'm doing the work and they are not. I am the awakened one in this dynamic. I am the divine feminine who has risen and they are the unawakened masculine who hasn't caught up yet. And separation is one of the biggest lies we know. And fear is one of the biggest lies we know. I'll talk about this on the upcoming episodes. And I tell you why this. Our mind likes the polarity. Everything you see on TikTok where it says, oh, the masculine is like this, the feminine is like this is better, this is that, will keep you on a loop. I know it's good for the dopamine, and especially when we are in that stage. I know that. But I tell you, this is not the answer. And actually, recently, it has come to my heart so strongly. Because it breaks me when I see it. And I've tried to figure it out. Why does it break me? But then I also realized, because it's, like I said, it's an easy one in a certain ways. So it sounds very familiar and we all have been there, including myself. But I really want to say to you, this is, if you are on this level, the next level is very important that is coming. So don't get stuck on a pride, please. Because if you are looking for your purpose, if you are looking for the connection, now we're going to go into that. So certain ways we can say that pride at this level is like an ego dressed in a spiritual clothing. And in Twin Flame world is a lot of that. And there is a hierarchy: who is more awakened, who is better, who knows better, who is smarter. Look, I have done all of that work and I'm ahead of you. And I tell you something, we all are students and we all are teachers. Nobody's better than anybody else. It doesn't exist. I am not better than you. That's why I love our community. We're all equal. Your voice is as important as my voice. And we might not agree on everything, but I love to have a discussion and topic about it. Because only like this we can grow and change. I remember from the very beginning and that's a time when I started the Patreon group and the podcast. And on our calls, there was we were talking about it. We had no workshops at the time. We were talking. And it got really, really, really negative at one point. Because everybody started to push their opinion, their way of saying, you're doing this wrong, that's not real. And also crushing some other people for no reason. Because the ego came in of saying, but I'm better than you. I know better. And let's say what B says is a complete garbage. Look at me, I'm better. I've always said that my father taught me that. And I don't know how exactly is the because it's from my native language, so I'm trying to make a translation. But my father always said that the village dogs will keep barking, but the caravan will keep moving. And this is the same with me in that sense, that I'm not here to prove anything. I'm not here to tell you that my truth is the ultimate truth and what you know is not true at all. I'm here to open the discussion. I'm here to open the world, and that you will find your own truth. Because when you live from your own truth, you are a magnet. So, and that's why I say that when we have the judgment that the runner is less evolved, it's just going to keep you further along for the healing. And for example, I'll just bring it in. What is this frequency? Let's say you have done 6 months of shadow work. You have been to therapy. You read every single book. You listen to every single podcast, possibly mine, of course. You've listened it. And there's a part of you that looks at where your twin is, the avoidant behavior, the silence, the not doing the work, and you feel better. You feel, I know better. At least I'm doing the work. At least I'm willing to look at myself. At least I'm growing. And that's beautiful. There is a specific quality of that feeling. It's somehow like a relief, because as long as you are above them, as long as you can point their failure to evolve, you don't have to feel the grief of the situation. And you don't have to sit in the vulnerability of, I miss them and I don't know if this will ever resolve. You get to be a little bit better. And that is a pride. And it will keep you in the loop as efficiently as a desire will. Because pride needs lesser than. I am better. Like I always need that somebody's less than me, then I feel better. Once, long back ago, somebody asked me that, what is the secret of your work or in my professional life? And I said, the fact that I want everybody to be successful. And now it's not about I want to. It's about I believe in an abundant world. I believe if I have a bread on the table, my friends can eat with me. If my friends have a bread on the table, they will give it to me. So I am a believer that together we can grow, together we can share. I don't believe in holding everything to myself. Another day when I was thinking that this twin flame journey took me, I left everything behind. I left every single thing. I took 5 suitcases and I moved here. And another day we were renovating a house and the house already has a lot of things in the house. And I realized none of these things will come with me. Why do we hold the things? What is the thing? Why do we have to have everything? And yeah, I'm a believer I always say my success is other people's success. My happiness is other people's happiness. My love is another people's love, and other way around. If my friends are in love, I'm in love. If my friends are healthy, I am healthy. If my friends have a food on the table, I have food on the table, because I know I can knock on the door and ask, can I have it? So it's all about we're all equal. Not that I have more and you have less. But again, why I talk about this ring is because when we are unstuck in there, you're going to loop, and you don't want to loop. I know that you're listening to this podcast right now and realizing I don't want to loop. I don't want to repeat the same things over and over and over again. So, and the vulnerability comes in there. It means that sometimes we need to ask help. Sometimes we need to show ourselves weaker. My biggest problem, and I had a huge pride in my life. I couldn't ask help when I was younger. I remember that when people, let's say I missed the bus, and people would stop the car and say, "Hey, where are you walking?" And I would make a face and saying, No, I'm okay, I want to walk. Meanwhile, I missed the bus and now I have to walk. But I couldn't ask help because I felt that makes me weak and that makes me vulnerable. And all of this, and this is why I say that when this awakening happened, my twin was the first person who said to me, "You never let anybody to help you. You have everything fixed all the time. You worry about the things you shouldn't worry about. Let others to come to your life." And it changed everything. It changed drastically in my world. So, what I'm trying to tell you that as long as you feel that your twin is beneath you, you are still in a dynamic with them. You are still depending on them to see yourself. And to move out of pride is humility, like I read about in this message, what I read about it. And I do not mean the false humility to pretending that you haven't grown and you are less and you are that. I mean the genuine humility where you're recognizing everyone is exactly where they're supposed to be, including your twin, including you. None of us gets to decide who is more involved or who is less or who is better. And from there, we're going to move into the next stage that is called courage. And now this is the last one on the thing, on the frequency before we're going to go into the higher parts of it. So, that's the first one. So 200 is now the critical threshold. Below this force, above this power. So now we are going to this courage to 200. I can face myself. And in a way of how do we move from 175 to 200? You're going to catch yourself in the superior thought and you notice it. And instead of suppressing it or performing humility, you get curious. You start asking, what is the pride protecting me in right now? What am I not willing to feel if I let go of being above this? And usually underneath the pride, there is a grief. There's an unbearable tenderness of loving someone who is not there. And the pride is an armor that keeps you from having to feel that. So now take off the armor. The grief is survivable. The pride is not sustainable. So let go of it. Step by step. You can do it. I was able to do it. Is it easy? No, at least for me it was very hard. So I'm going to tell you that all of the parts what I tell you, the grief, anger, fear, and the pride were one of the hardest. Oh, how did Kundalini was killing it. Up and down, here and there, inside and outside. I didn't like it. Oh, I was going back and forth. Oh my God. So this is a very part of the thing here. And, but when you have arrived to the 200, this is a threshold. And this is where now everything will start to change. Below 200, you are in a survival. You are in a running on force. You are reactive. Life is happening to you. Everything is against you. The twin flame journey is absolutely stupid. It's an idiotic. What is this crap? But above 200, you are stepping into power. So this 200, the courage to take a step. I've spoken a lot about it. For me, the courage. I had to leave everything behind. That people knew me, my titles, my things, that I was somebody. At the same time, I was nobody. And it was so weird that, yes, I was known and I was all of this, but none of this. But I've never really been a title person, but it was so strange that when I told people, I will go away, I'm going to go, I leave everything behind. They were like, you're absolutely crazy. What's wrong with you? You have an amazing life. I said, no, there's nothing amazing here anymore. I had no idea what's going on. And in the courage, you are kind of coming to a power. You begin to respond and you start to choose. And the very first act of courage in the twin flame journey is going to shift the entire dynamic. It's a decision to focus on your own growth regardless of what they do. One single decision. And when you are over there, I'm going to bring you just an example as well. And this is not where things get very, very strong and very crazy. And I really highly recommend you to actually save this podcast and the upcoming podcast where we're going to go into, because today we're going to really quickly end over here and we're going to go from the 200 to move further. But think of this is the time where you're now going to make steps out of your comfort zone. It's a hard one, but it requires courage. That's why it is there. So I bring an example that, let's say a man who has been in runner mode for 8 months now. A man, let's bring a man. And he's been avoiding the connection. Every time he gets close to it, to really feel what this person meaning to them, he runs again. He goes cold, distracts himself, chooses something easier. But then, one morning, you wake up and nothing really has dramatic happened. But you feel a different thought around that. They have been 8 months running. And you're going to feel, oh, I'm going to stop lying to myself what I want. I don't know what comes next. And I don't know if the person still be there if I go from here. But I also stop running from myself. So you understand what I mean is, you run as much as your twin is running. The mirror affection. I ran for myself. I know that. Now when I look backwards, I'm just like, Jesus. I was a sprinter. Wow. Or I was marathon runner. I was running. Because when we project that someone is running, we are running. And that is not the reunion, that is not a conversation, that is something that internally shifts inside of you. And for the divine feminine, so-called the chaser, it looks very different. When you are waking up in the morning and something has shifted, you realize, maybe for the very first time, that your growth cannot wait for them anymore. You cannot stay still. And that your wholeness is not something that, whether they come back or not, that you are going to build your life, the real one, the full one, regardless of how this connection is going to resolve. And that is a decision, that is a single decision that is on a 200. And here is something very, very extraordinary about 200. Because the energy between twin flames is real. It's not something you're making up. None of it. I know that if this wouldn't have never happened to me, I would have never believed that. Someone another day was asking me that how I can be in this dynamic again and what my husband feels about all of this. And I said, it was not something I chose from the mind. It happened. If you would bring me back to 5 years right now and tell me the stories, what I am telling to you, I would have not believed any of these stories. I would have said, yeah, I don't know, maybe, No. All of this that happened to me. And there was no one to choose. I couldn't choose that. My husband couldn't choose that. My family couldn't choose that. It happened. And so-called, it doesn't choose what do you think about that. It's nothing you can choose thinking. It's the same, let's say, you have an accident or something. What was there to choose? It happened because it has to happen. And like I said, the energy between twin flames is real. And when you are in a 200 consistently, it changes the field. 200 is where we start to change the field. That's why I've said many, many times, I don't force anyone to my workshops. I don't force anybody to my retreats. I don't force anybody to meditate or to do things. Because when we are below 200, the game is a completely different. But I'm here to listen, and I'm here to energetically guide you without you knowing that I'm guiding you. That is my secret power. That even though you will think that you're coming to the call and you will rant about your twin flame and all of that, but energetically, I'm already shifting you. I have never, I think, said that, but here we are. So I said, you are not the same frequency anymore. And the frequency, like gravity, is something that the other person's system registers even when their conscious mind doesn't know why. So you would feel when your twin has shifted. And this is why the divine feminine going deeper into her whole wholeness and changes the dynamic with the divine masculine without word being spoken. It's not a strategy, it's a physics. And I've spoken about millions and millions and millions of times. Twin flame journey is energetic. And I had to learn that. So how do we build and stay in that? And how do we hold it? So number one, do the thing that you have been avoiding. Not dramatically, but just next really honest thing that you've been avoiding. The conversation you have not wanting to have with yourself. The acknowledgement of what do you actually want. And I know when we say, I want my twin flame, and I tell you, this year, many of you got your twin flames. All the twin flames popped back. But then you realized, oh, wait a minute. Yes, I have the twin flame, but now I'm receiving them in that state that I don't want them actually in that state. To stop making your choices based on what they might do. Every time you do something, post something, go somewhere, invest in something, and you're doing it because you hope they will notice or respond, that is a frequency of 125. What was 125? Who remembers? Who remembers what was 125? Do you remember? The desire, the craving, the lust. And we're going to get back to it now. Like I said, this all is connected. So you don't make decisions because of what they will do. And number 3, hold the boundary, even when it hurts. And especially when it hurts. Because the boundary that costs you nothing is not a boundary. It's a preference. The boundary that you hold, even when every part of you wants to dissolve it, that is a courage. And now I'm going to go back to the desire and lust. I spoke about this before, and I'm going to go into this before we're going to end today's podcast. I want to talk about this because like I said, we have seen it that lust is one of the lowest frequencies. About the lust, the reason that we talk about the lust is that it's a low frequency is not because the energy is wrong. It is because of what energy is pointing at. Lust as an energy is actually a life force energy. We know that a lot when we get activated with our so-called twin flame, or you have done intense Kundalini activations, you can have one of the strongest sexual experiences that are based on the energy, because it's a pure, raw, powerful, creative life force energy. But being aimed at something outside of yourself to feel something inside of yourself, that is the mismatch of the direction, and that's is going to lower that frequency, not the energy itself. And I've spoken about this quite a lot, and I want to go deeper into, because I will have some of the guests who might not be exactly how I agree with the energy of pure creative energy. But I just want to bring up different aspects, and that comes down to the ancient traditions such as Tantra, Kundalini Yoga, in Taoism. All of this is that it's all understood, something that we have completely lost in a way in modern conversations about the sexual energy and the desire. And so, like I said, the lust is at 125, and it's energy of desire. That's where we feel a lot of sexual energy if we feel very connected to it. I've spoken a lot about that, how we have to redirect our sexual energy into the creative force. And in a certain ways, that's why releasing your sexual energy is not the answer. The answer is the redirection of the energy. And unfortunately, we have a very big pandemic of where we have lost our life force energy into releasing it. And if you read the tantric text and all of these type of things, you will notice that it tells you to move the energy upwards, not to release it. And it's a very, very different part of it. Like I said, we can go into depth of that if you want to go into depth. I've said that many times that humans change according to their preference and according to their how it feels right for them. That's why the word, when we hear about tantra, it goes into, oh, everybody sleeps with everybody. And in fact, tantra is nothing like that. But here is the fact that humans are, when they don't have a strong control of the directing their energy, of course, you feel the connection and you want to have and you think that this is the answer because it feels good. But that was not an idea. And then there is another circle. I've spoken about this as well, when I always say, I don't care what people do in their life. This is totally your life, your decisions, your however you're going to do it. I could care less what is your life. But saying that this is the answer for everything, and let's say if you are more sexually open, or if you're more sexually reserved, or if you do this, that you say your ideology into someone else. This is something where I disagree. What you do with your body, what you do with the energy, how you transmute or don't transmute, that's your journey. That is up to you. But how to tell to others that this is right or this is wrong, here is a little bit. But I think it's when we have an awareness of the energy, we start to understand how sacred everything is. And so is a twin flame journey. Your twin flame is a very sacred connection. And I always say it's not a billboard connection. It's not something where we walk around and say, look at me, I'm a twin flame. It's not. It's a very, very sacred connection because it's a connection within you, the love within you. And this is sacred and somehow needs to be protected. So protect your heart, protect your journey, protect your inner knowing. So when I go back to it, like in the twin flame connection, the intensity of the pull, the quality, the magnetism, the connection, the way that you cannot stop thinking about, that is a energy of what? A kundalini. Whether we like it or not, kundalini is very so-called sexual energy. And because it's, again, forms a lot in a creative chakra, which is our second chakra. So that's where we feel the creative force. Because that is a life force recognizing itself in another form. So now it's can become real. And another day I listened to something, or it came, I read, or somewhere it came, but it stuck with me right now when I'm talking about it, that when the God has given you a gift, when the life force energy has given you a gift, whatever is the gift, whether it's to play music, write a book, be a speaker, do art, your job is to go and give it to the others. That's why God gave it to you. The God gave you a skill, and you are the God, for you to give it to others. But we can go into a deeper layers. But why I talk about it, that creativity is something that we can only leave behind. So as I said, that when you cannot stop thinking of it and you feel the magnetic energy, and you can have, like I've said, energetic way of sexually connecting, this is a kundalini energy. And that's really clearly shows you that you have somehow met your twin flame who activated your Kundalini. And here we go. Kundalini and twin flames are going very hand in hand. It doesn't mean that everybody who's going to activate you is your twin flame. What I mean is the frequency is so electric that is able to activate the dormant energy inside of you. I made many videos about Kundalini and I will continue. I find it fascinating, and I find it how powerful it's going to change your life. And if you go back to the ancient texts, if you go back to the books that were way before internet, way before AI, way before everything that is out there, it is the answer. And I want to go back to this one thing, that as we live in a world of AI, and of course that makes me to realize more and more how we live in a simulation, because now we're going to see how AI is going to control a lot of things, including, for example, today I was watching the videos how I think 100 million or already 200 million channels been demonetized by AI on YouTube, because it and so it's just to say that very soon a lot of in our life will be decided by a robot, and you cannot argue with a robot. And here comes something very important, whether you are on a spiritual journey or not a journey. Your energy. And listen to this very carefully. I don't want to go into the conspiracy theories and everything, but I'm going to tell you something. Your energy is becoming the highest value. So protect your energy. Connect to the divine through every single energetic part. And I really recommend you to go back to read Yoginanda, Bhagavad Gita, like Bible, Kabbalah. Read these, because if you want to so-called make a shift on this journey, on overall the journey, and now I'm going out of the twin flame part, your energy is something that is invaluable. So don't miss that out. If you want me to talk about this in depth a little bit more, of course, let me know. I've also decided a little bit with the podcast that I will go exactly. I talk about twin flames, then I talk about spirituality, then I talk about the stories of all of you who have sent me the stories. And I also talk about the theories, even if they sound crazy. I think this podcast is a community and all of that. And just to bring it back, that now you wonder, but how can I protect my energy? How can I become sovereign? How can I remain where I'm supposed to? And you are lucky if you've been activated with your twin flame. I've said many times, you can join my workshops because they're purely based on energy and they are helping you to get to the next stage. 17th of May, on a new moon, we have a next session. Then we will be going into, like I said, there are retreats, there are, and I believe there are many. Dispenza is out there. Who else is doing a big retreats? You can put them all into the descriptions, in the comments, and say that, this person helped me and this is what it is and how I connect to the divine. Because the question is right now, how much you can become the player. Not that something plays with you. Automation. Anyways, too much of the side talk, but let's go back to the life force energy. So, as I said, it's a Kundalini energy and it's a life force energy that is going to feel itself in another form. And the reason that is so overwhelming is because most of us have never felt so much our own energy at once. So we have been in a halfway, and the same is our brain. We don't use the full capacity. We most probably cannot use the full capacity because then we won't be able to function in this 3D world, but that doesn't matter. But now we've been running on a partial power for so long that when we feel the full current inside of us, it feels like it's going to destroy us. And so what we're going to do, we're going to project it outward, and we call it I want them. But what actually is that I want this version of myself that I can only feel when I am near them. That's very important. So what to do it? So this is one of the biggest questions I get it very often. Today we are, of course, again, another hour is passing by so quickly, and I enjoy time with you. But what do you do with this? You transmute it. And transmutation is not a suppression. And I want to be very, very clear about this. You do not stuff the energy down. You do not pretend that it isn't there. You do not shame yourself for feeling it. And I've spoken about this in the very early episodes as well. You need to connect with this energy. The sexual energy that you're feeling, you need to connect with that. Because when you take that exact charge and that current, you give it somewhere powerful to go. And let's say every time you want to text them, every time you feel them, that's energy. Every time obsessive thought loops back, that is energy. And right now this energy is circling and draining. So what it means, you'll need to learn to redirect it into creation, into your body, into your own becoming. I will go into this in a way of detail, one by one. So don't worry about that, how you're gonna get there. So if you find again this information interesting, you find it, oh, that's something I really would like to connect to, that's something I really feel like, then of course, like, subscribe, leave a comment, stay in a community, join us on Patreon. Every kind of way is possible. So that is for today. I have halfway through. We have come to the threshold 200 frequency. So how we're gonna go now from here is level up is a very powerful, and that's what we're gonna do in the next upcoming episodes. As I said as well, you'll have about the frequency, what it does, how it helps you. Then we're gonna go into my methods, how I identify the frequency within you, what your body is vibrating, because during the time connecting with all of you and listening, and I'm gonna be very honest, I love listening to the stories because of there are so much truth and so much beauty in it, and that's for that. So just to say that if you enjoy, if there are any questions, if there's anything, you can always write, ask, and you can always argue as well. That is always more than welcome as well. Anyways, what I'm gonna go through, Patreon, you can join the Patreon as usual, twinflameawakeningjourney.com or Twin Flame Awakening Journeys on Patreon. All the links are in bio. If you wish to connect with me, twinflameawakeningjourney.com. If there is anything, retreats, again, I'm gonna say, I don't know if we have an Italy retreat as a space. If it is, you can always write me an email or you see it on the website. If not, then we'll see you on the next one if it happens. And 26th of, and in Cyprus we have 11/11 retreat as well. I don't know why did I say 26. What is the 26th? 26, we begin Italy retreat. Funny. Anyways, I am more than glad that you were here. It was lovely to spend time. Thank you for listening. Thank you for connecting. And thank you for all of your support. It's always so wonderful to have it. I wish you a wonderful day. And I'll see you very soon. Lots of love and lots of light.
Leather jacket on in the snow. Always such a cool guy. New life, new clothes, but baby you're the same. I see it from afar. You haven't changed a bit. And you still make the same tired jokes. Thank God that I moved on, but heaven knows how you broke me down. Haven't seen you in a while, but I don't miss you at all. But I hope you do. Yeah, I hope that you think of me. See my face in strangers in the street. Every time you drink tequila, you still picture me there, dancing in the dark. I bet your heart skips a beat when you see something that reminds you of me. Baby, when you drink tequila, you still picture me there beside you in the dark. Yeah, I hope it hits you hard. It feels good to know you want me back. You took me for granted, now I got the upper hand. The tables have turned, I am not the same girl. I hope that you think of me, see my face in strangers in the street. Every time you drink tequila, you still picture me there, dancing in the dark. I bet your heart skips a beat when you see something that reminds you of me. Baby, when you drink tequila, you still picture me there beside you in the dark. But I hope you're feeling so lost without me that you can't sleep at night, no one to call, yeah. Call when you're feeling down, but what goes around comes back around. You had to learn the hard way. Yeah, I hope that you think of me, see my face in strangers in the street. Every time you drink tequila, you still picture me there, dancing in the dark. I bet your heart skips a beat when you see something that reminds you of me. Baby, when you drink tequila, you still picture me there beside you in the dark. Yeah, I hope it hits you hard.